Oh, hey, thanks for stopping by today. Checking out my 1956 Chevy Nomad and the exhaust leak nightmare I have. Why is it always me? Make sure you watch most of the video and comment down below if any of this type of crap ever happens to you. I tell you what, I'm starting to feel alone in this situations. Well guys, another day in the shop. Got the doors all open. It's 40 degrees this morning here in Florida. Whew. Felt like back home in the winter. Felt good. But we got a Cars and Coffee I want to go to tomorrow. I got the time off to do it, so I was gonna do a little tuning on the carburetor of MadRatt. And had an exhaust leak. Narrowed it down to blowing Doughnut, where the exhaust pipe meets the manifold. Something I didn't want to do before. Looks like we're getting forced to do it early. I heated up, let the motor warm up good, put the car up on the lift, threw some penetrating oil on all the studs. First one snapped instantly. Second two, I've got a what they call a nut buster. It's magnetic induction. What do they call it? It's an induction tool. Using magnetic coil, it puts heat into the bolts and got them red hot. Second one came out. Took a minute, but it came out. Really rusty. Third one, got that nice and hot. She started coming real nice and pink, snapped that one real deep. That's one that we snapped real deep. So what I'm doing, there's no way to fix them studs with the manifold in the car. Taking that manifold out, because that's where it was leaking. And got to fix them studs. So I'm gonna pull this manifold out, and hopefully we don't have any problems with studs breaking off in the head, or the manifold itself being cracked. I'm trying to get it out, because that's been on there since 1971. I can guarantee that. So these two guys in the middle are the ones I'm talking about that are probably not coming out over on that side by the power steering's right next to it. But those are also the two that get the hottest, right? So that one loosened up. The one next to it loosened up. Took a bit. They're in there tight. These two are not budging. I'm going to put the inductor on that. One in the back loosened up. So induction heat it is. That's what we're going with. And hopefully it'll be enough to break the threads. Problem with that induction heat for this is the threads are in the block that are stuck way back here. And all I'm able to heat is this head. Yes, it will transfer heat down that bolt into the head, but down that head through the manifold and into the block head. Am I saying that right? The head of the bolt is the only place I could put the induction heater on. Heat will transfer down that bolt through the manifold into the cylinder head. There, I got it out. So I'm just gonna try it on one and get that sucker cherry red, and hopefully it'll get heat transfer all the way down through, and it'll be enough to pop that rust. I already tapped it. There's not much room to swing a hammer in there, but I already tapped it a bunch of times, and hopefully that broke up some rust on the threads, and we'll see from there. The very last thing I want to do right now is break a bolt off in the head, because at that point the game's over. I'm pulling this motor to get at them studs, because I don't think I can get at them from here if they bottom out flush. We'll see. I'm getting ahead of myself. worry warting over nothing that hasn't even happened yet. So try some heat. Induction tool, here we come. So yeah, they call that the mini inductor. Mini. Good Lord. How big's the frickin' major inductor? Big enough. Best buy I've ever did. Bought this on Amazon 6 years ago, something like that. They've come down in price. I think the last time I priced these before the inflation hit, you could get one for around 200 bucks, 180 bucks. I think I paid $250 for mine. They came down in price because there's a lot of competition with them. Just find one with a good rating. 30 seconds and you have a bolt glowing red versus getting out a flame and all that kind of stuff. This is a magnetic coil, just can't be touching anything. That's all. So I'll show you. You just keep bending those until you find the spot that works for you, and then see the heat coming off it. Starting to glow. I don't want the camera to pick it up. I'm not getting a real good around it. The manifold's in the way. It doesn't really like touching anything. Boy, that puppy's hard. Solid in there. Tightening it a little. Back it up. Man, I don't want to break that sucker. This is strong enough to get these out. To the last thread. I think worst case scenario. God, I hate worst case scenarios. Actually, best case scenario. I'll grind the heads off these two. That way I can get up to the block where the threads are with that induction, and hopefully crank it out with the vice grips. Them bolts are in there.
2,000 years later.
Yeah, so we didn't make it to the Cars and Coffee, which was yesterday. Been a couple days since we started this fiasco. Oh, so let me bring you up to speed. Ended up getting all the bolts out. The inductor and some MAP gas torch. Was able to get this one out. It was tough all the way to the last thread. This one snapped off at the head, which is okay, because if we can get the manifold off, I've got that whole bolt. I'll be able to get the inductor right up next to the block and hopefully spin it out. Problem is, this manifold is stuck to that bolt. The head's gone. This should just slide off, and it's not at all. I've pried. I've hammered. You can see my hammer marks where this will twist so far, and then it hits stuff, and twist it, and I hammer it back up, and I've hammered it down, and I've hammered it back up, trying to twist it and get it to work its way off. But the this is the one that was next to it. You can see how sooty it is, all coked up, and you can see how them threads down at the bottom there here are really bad. And it's pretty corroded. I'm just thinking that in there that it's just swelled enough. And here's the problem: MAP gas isn't been hot enough. I've been trying with some MAP gas to heat that manifold to get it to expand. I don't have an acetylene torch. I could probably borrow one from someone. But to properly get on that, there's no room. Not really. Put it this way. There's no room where I can still see it and know what I'm doing without overheating it or burning it or causing this manifold to crack. Because if I crack this manifold, I'm screwed. I should have another one around here somewhere from my dad's 55. I don't know where it went. I've done a quick peek around and I haven't seen it. And like I showed you before, I've got those exhaust manifolds. Exhaust header, short block huggers that would probably go right here. But what am I going to do? Just one? And then leave the other one a manifold? That other one is way, way, way too much of a pain in the ass to get off. Now, I would like, we've talked in the past about me doing exhaust on this car. And I think if I do exhaust on this car, I'm going to have to do headers. Because I just think it's going to work better. I mean, I'm going through the same problem on the other side is what's going to happen. I'm going to go through the same problem on the other side. Getting the downpipe off, it's going to snap studs. And if we didn't, bless it, that would be something. But I don't know. You know, if we could do the exhaust without it, but I'm just planning on it, which means that's going to be a summer project. Because down here in the summer, it's way too hot to drive these unair-conditioned cars. So our car season's right now. I want to drive this. I'm hoping this little 5-6 months, we're all good. And then when I park this and put it up for the summer, that'd be when I do the exhaust. And at that point, I wouldn't be opposed to pulling the motor and really cleaning up this block and the engine bay some more as my next step of what I'd like to do. And then I could do the headers that I want. And I've got a brand new set of, I think they're stainless. I got a brand new set of headers that I sitting in a box, Sanderson headers, block huggers. I bought for the 64 and never used. Could try those in here, and I think that might be a good fit. But I could clean this block up really good. I could do a few things that I want to do to make things work better and get it all dialed in. But that'd be a good summer project, you know? Good summer content. Right now, I need to get this dang thing off. It's 2 days of messing, soaking it with penetrating oil, trying to get down to threads. It's not happening. So, okay, rambling over what I've got, and I have no idea if this is going to work. I thought to myself, you know, how about a porta power? I borrowed one from my guys next door. It says the seals are bad, so hopefully it's got enough oomph that it'll pop that off. But if I use this, right, stick this between the manifold and the head, whoop, and give it a little, just maybe that thing will be enough to pop loose that rusted connection it's got going on right now. So that's where I'm at. If this don't work, and if hopefully it doesn't break the damn manifold, so I don't make this a bigger problem than it needs to be. Till then, I'm gonna try this. I just think if I get a good and the right spot and a little, and maybe maybe it'll work. If I use this, get it in between the block and the head there. Oh, bad seal. You ain't kidding. Well, that's a no-go. He said those seals were bad. I got like 2 pumps where I actually had some leverage on it, and then it just kind of went to flopping. So once I got enough hydraulic pressure built up, it blew through the seal. So, and I can't even get it to do anything more now. Gotta find somebody else around here who's got one, maybe.
A few moments later.
Oh, I'm out of shape. That puppy weighs a bit, carrying it from almost a half a block away. Got another one, another neighbor, building over, down at the end. Bit of a walk. Not really, but for my old ass. He says the ram on theirs leaks. But he said this is fine if I use that. It's that piece down there, leaks on the end. So I should be okay. We're going to try this one. We'll hook up the piece that we need and give another push. See what happens. Let me catch my breath. Whew. All right. I'll bring it back around when we get to it.
The next day.
Another day. Another borrowed one of these. Got it in there. It's working. Well, the pump's working. I've got that sucker cranked so damn tight, there's got to be 2 tons of pressure on there, and it hasn't moved a centimeter. What in the heck is going on? At the very least, the damn stud should have broke. I'm waiting for that thing to and just shatter it. Either that or, even though I'm cranking tons of pressure on here, and with that thing not hooked up, it's doing what it's supposed to, but maybe it's not that as much pressure on there as I thought. Maybe it's not what you think. But I would assume that's several hundred pounds. 500 pounds, 600, 700 pounds of pressure. Why not? It's a 4-ton hydraulic jack, and I've put the length bar extra, and I'm on the end here, and it took my whole weight to compress that. You tell me, how much pressure is that? And it hasn't moved a centimeter. I'm tired of all this stupid stuff, guys. I really am. I'm tired of all this stupid stuff holding you back. Never heard of this happening. Damn head's off the stud. And the one next to it was coked up and hard to get out. But it's not rusted or falling apart and all that that'd be stuck in there. You know? So what's the issue? This one's more rusted. This was on the end where there wasn't any heat. That one came out. There's no reason. I'm angry. I'm tired of simple jobs being a monumental thing with, and I've had 2 guys over here looking at it, scratching their head going, you got to get a torch in there. But I see what you mean. You can't get the torch head back there and do it reasonable. It's ridiculous. Get into hot rodding, they said. It'll be fun, they said. It'll be calming when you're stressed out, they said. Liars. All of them, liars.
2,000 years later.
And the saga continues. So where'd we leave off? Borrowed a pump. Had to borrow from somebody else the spreader pump, or duckbill they call it. Had that set in the motor. Under major pressure. I thought it was major pressure. Nothing happened. Nothing. It's enough to drive a man nuts. But I was really trying to crank on it. I had that extended arm on there and really, I couldn't get good leverage on it. I thought I had good leverage on it. I had my body dangling off of it, but that was before I put the extension on, I guess. I thought the extension was on, so I put the extension on and tried it again and was able to get a little more of a pump out of it. And then air biscuit. So 1 or 2 things is happening with that. I had to fill it and I bled it. Maybe it wasn't bled good enough. And when I'd pump it, that thing would it would go. Never used one before, so I don't know what was correct. Well, I thought, you know what? I need a new one. This is 2 in a row that had problems. How do I know if this is even working right? So I bought one on sale. Orange Brands, Beaver. It was on sale. It was $80. I've needed one of these like twice in my life, so I've always planned on buying one. The Harbor Freight one's like $150 when it goes on sale. This was $80. Same 4-ton. Same as everybody else's I used. I hooked up the head and 2 pumps and it started moving, and the next pump went whoop. The next pump went whoop. So I'm thinking the other ones weren't working like they're supposed to. I have not tried it. We still might need to bleed this one. I just find it hard to believe. and I'm saying this ahead of time because I could be completely wrong. Number one, I find it hard to believe that that stupid manifold's still on there. With the head of a bolt missing, it recessed down the hole. I haven't even put you in there to show you, but there's the light. See what I mean? Head of bolt, recessed, down the hole. Why isn't the damn thing coming off? It shouldn't be that big of a deal. None of the other bolts are rusted as much. So my frustration level is, you know, and I'm sorry guys, I don't mean these videos to be me ranting and raving, but you're the only people I have to talk to get it out of my system, so I'm sharing with you. This should work. Oh, and by the instructions, it's a 4-ton pump, but it does, that spreader is a 1/2 ton. 1,000 pounds. That should be more than enough. It should only take a couple 100 pounds to knock that sucker off. We're gonna give it a try. That's all I can say. So let me set you on the fender here where you're not in my way and you can see. And I'll end up wrecking my GoPro, because if this thing shatters and explodes, it's just gonna take the GoPro out, and that'll be fun, right? More money. Good Lord. Let's give her a try. This way you can see what I'm doing and still be watching what that thing's doing in case something catastrophic happens. But here's the 3rd pump. I got no weight on that. That's my whole body weight on that. Why isn't it coming off? Have you ever seen anything like this? Huh? What am I supposed to do? What's the answer? I'm gonna have to take a sawzall and just cut the thing off. It don't make no sense. It's gonna blow up in my face. Maybe I have it coming. Not even a gap between the head and the manifold. Nothing. Zero. How? And you can see it's twisting when I hammer down. It moves a little bit, and then it's hitting the spark plug or whatever down there, or hitting something on the back, and I can hammer it up. So if it's twisting like that with pressure on it, why isn't it coming off? The stud might be twisting in the head. Yeah, it might be tightening and loosening, and it's still locked on the manifold. Okay. I don't get it, guys. I'm going to release the pressure. Look at this end. I'm going to release the pressure. Watch. So it is pushing the head and pushing the manifold away from the head ever so slightly, but it don't make no sense. That manifold's holding on to that stud for dear life. I gotta think this out. Try it with it. No pressure on it. Try it with pressure on it. Because if this don't work, I mean, I've got no option. I've got no other option. I'm just gonna have to bust it off. Because at this point, the one gasket's shot. The other gasket shot. I can't bolt on the exhaust, and I can't get the stupid thing off. Keep this PG. Flustered, guys. Absolutely flustered. So all we can do is try. So much room for activities. Not. Have you ever, really, anybody, comment down below, have you ever seen anything like this? Not even a smidgen moved. Nothing. Couldn't put a piece of paper in there. Nothing. How is it not budged at all? I'm mad. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't care anymore. Bust it off. Piece of shit. Oh, guys, wasn't able to film it. It's out. Couldn't film it because one of my neighbor's employees came over and did it with a acetylene torch. I told him save the manifold if you can, but if you turn it to liquid, turn it to liquid. And I mean, at this point, I'm at the point I gotta pull the motor anyways, and if I wreck this, so I hammered on it. I did what I could, but we got it up in the air, got all the wires out of the way, was able to do it from underneath, and this bolt, I don't know how well it's going to show up on here. See that hunk of junk there? A bunch of that was wrapped around this, and this is inside the manifold, so it had swelled up and puffed up and flaked off and basically wedged itself in there to a point where it just wasn't budging. So how hot we get it? Well, we had it glowing so hot it melted the surface of the, because he was just going back and forth and then coming up here to get some down the hole and back and forth and up here down, and you can see almost wrecked it. Does have a crack. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. And it didn't look like there was any gaskets on it. Never seen that before. But then I look closer and they have become one with the metal. I can't even, I'm going to try air chiseling them a little more. This is part that's missing is on the block, on the head, and then this. So that's part of the gasket. These are all clean. You can kind of see residue where there was. There was no exhaust leak there at all. And the heads are clean, so I don't know if it just crumbled out when we were, with all this crap we were doing or what, but I never saw it. Never saw one. And now on to the next part. Hopefully we'll be back to driving the Nomad. So 49, get the money. 64, button that up. Shouldn't be a big deal. Just got to pull the tranny, couple of seals, figure out why the flex plate, probably a new flex plate, because it's something's out of balance. Done with that. Then the 66. If I have to pull the motor on that, it's on the proper lift. Whatever we got to do to get that running right, cam, whatever, get it figured out. Get that running and moving. Then the winter will be over. And then I can pull the motor on the Nomad, do the cleaning I wanted to do, the tidying I wanted to do, new exhaust that I wanted to do, and then we'll be all caught up. Sounds easy, don't it? Shit. None of this stuff's easy. The donut replacement should have been if we didn't break studs, should have been in and out, including going to the auto parts store, hour. We all know that doesn't happen. They rust with age. Figured they were gonna break. Tried our best not to. They broke. Okay, so let's pull the manifold. It's the easy side. It's the passenger side. That should have been a simple hour and a half job, 2-hour job, running, doing, cleaning, little stuff, cleaning that up, put it back in, put the exhaust back together. Done. One evening. Should have been done. A couple, 3 hours, tops. Almost 2 weeks later. And granted, we ain't working on it full days. There's no full days of working on it. It is what it is. Hot rodding, guys, hot rodding. So hopefully the rest of this will pan out. Just gonna get those drilled out. Waiting for a battery to charge. My drill's dead. This battery's almost dead. That bit's hot, so I'm probably done for the day. Tomorrow's a swap meet, so still gonna go check it out, see what's going on, see if there's any deals to be had. Maybe there's one of these manifolds there. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, hadn't thought of that. Maybe there'll be an exhaust manifold there. That'd be all right. Yeah, all right. So let me clean up, and then we'll get back at this tomorrow afternoon sometime, and see what's going on.
The next day.
All right, here's the update for all of you that are just dying to know about an exhaust manifold, because woo, it's exciting times. All right, so got the drilling, drilling. And as you can see, I have got them drilled out pretty good. I mean, there's almost nothing left without ruining the threads. And it still don't want to come out. This one broke a drill bit in there. So drilling down through that one's even harder because you hit the hardened drill bit and doesn't want to drill bit. The drill bit doesn't want to drill the drill bit. And you can see it's pretty crusty. I mean, pretty corroded. I showed you before, we got a crack there. And this gasket material, I'm gonna have to sand it to get it off, I guess. This one's good, that one's good, but this, and it's pretty cruddy. So, we've got a solution. Went to a local swap meet, and can you believe it? As I said before, these are kind of hard to come by. Because this is a 2-inch collector ram horn, and the Corvettes had a 2.5-inch collector. So everybody back in the day threw these out and put the 2.5-inch Corvette ones if you could get them. And if they switched to headers or whatever, these things just got thrown in a junk pile or scrap pile. Because I mean, why would you use that over a 2.5-inch Corvette one? Well, you can go online and buy the 2.5-inch Corvette ones. They're available everywhere. You cannot buy a 2-inch one. But I went to the swap meet, and the first guy I walk up to, he's got one. He's got 2 of them. More corroded than that one. He had gotten the studs out and cleaned the threads, which was a bonus. But this surface was going to need to be planed, decked, whatever, because it was pitted to death. Pretty rough. So I walked around. And lo and behold, at the end of the row, there's another guy with a set. The guy wanted $20 for the one that was corroded. $20. We made a deal at that. I said, let me think about it. It'll take $20. This guy had a pair, the whole pair, $25. But look at the surface on these. Now this is the driver's side. I don't need it. But look at the surface on these, right? Look at the surface on here, right? It's got the studs. They're not busted off. Don't have to deal with it. Passenger side. Oh, driver's side. I need a passenger side. Boop. Passenger side. I sandblasted it. And that surface is great. It's got 2 of the studs. Third one's not there. I mean, don't have to drill it out. So I bought new studs and bolts. And 25 bucks for the pair. $5 more, but way better shape. Don't have to do any machine work. So I'm gonna paint it up. Make it look nice for the car. Get that back in. Went and got all the gaskets I needed. Nobody had a 2-inch donut. It'll be here tomorrow. So I'm gonna get everything going, but I'm gonna paint this nice. I actually bought 2,000 degree header paint in aluminum color, just to offset it from the black motor, something different. It's only gonna be on there for 6-7 months. And you know, that'll turn into 10 years. But since I have it off, I might as well clean it up, so I sandblasted it. And a little trick, I don't know if you guys know this, when you're painting this kind of porous metal, get yourself a bottle of MAP gas, or I don't know what they call this. This is the regular propane tank, I guess. The yellow ones are MAP gas. Burns a little hotter. Let me show you something you don't know nothing about. Or maybe you do know something about it. Let me know. But being it's been in an engine all these years, there's oil. And this is one reason why header paint doesn't ever last. Because the oil bakes off under heat and lifts the paint, and the paint can't settle in because there's oil in there. This is one way to get it better. You take one of these. So there is Corey's tech tip of the day. Corey's tech corner. And do the whole thing and throw some paint on it. I'm gonna throw 2-3 coats on, and then tomorrow put it all back together. All right, we're one step closer to being back on the road, guys. This whole debacle had me down. Took the wind out of my sails. Feeling a little defeated, but proud moment. We licked it. Well, I had to pay somebody else to come and kick its ass, but we got her done. Just go back together. Driving it'll be our trophy. So, all right, let me get back after this, and I'll bring you on if there's anything worth talking about. All right, here's what we're working with. Already a big improvement. First coat. I do a thin coat, first coat. This stuff dries pretty quick. Dries to the touch in like 15 minutes, which is perfect for another coat. Every 15 minutes, put one on. Next coat, I'll put a little thicker. It's VHT, flame proof, aluminum color. It's good for 2,000 degrees, but it's mixed with silica and ceramic pieces. Is why it's flame proof. Flame proof? Flame proof. Unfortunately, my other manifold's gonna change color if it hasn't already. And there's really no way for me to get in there. It's pretty hidden for people to see it. This one's out in the open. It's the only reason I'm doing it on that side. You know, you walk up to the car at a car show, you know, you pop your hood, and that's right there. It's right there. This side, you can see it right here. And if I can get some cardboard down in there in between the two, maybe I'll run a little dusting of it. I don't know how well it'll hold up, being that I can't burn off the oil and all of those things. I mean, some of it should have burned off just from running, but exhaust doesn't get as hot as that torch does. So I'll have one very shiny one, or one very light colored silver, and the other one a darker, which eventually turns to like a pink, because that's what this did. Started turning into like a pink, because that was 500 degree paint. It wasn't made for exhaust. So let that cool, let that flash up, because it's still hot. I'm gonna throw another coat on it right now. Wow, it's just soaking into those pores. I'm gonna let that one flash off a little longer because as you've seen, that was a heavy coat. It's a little warm out today, otherwise I'd open my door. Humid, because we got rain yesterday. It's supposed to rain today, so it's lingering. I don't want that humidity in here. Not that I'm doing some kind of show car paint job or something. I'm painting a frickin' pitted exhaust manifold, for God's sakes. But it'll set better. Tomorrow that gasket will be in. I got that gasket, which goes between the heat riser and the manifold. We're waiting on the Doughnut gasket. Here's new header gaskets. And I couldn't buy just one frickin' bolt. So I bought 3. I needed nuts anyways. So I just got the kit. That should get me set up so I can go ahead and after that sets up overnight, I'm gonna clean the mating surfaces with a Scotch-Brite. Same on the head here. And new bolts should just go back in, lift it up, zip on the Doughnut, and the gasket, the exhaust gasket there, or the exhaust flange and the Doughnut. Fire it up! Fire it up! All right, well, another day. Was able to pick up all the gasket. Yesterday you saw that in paint, so we could paint the manifold. And then here's my new Doughnut. I went to pick up some new bolts, and everybody's got the wrong size. And these holes aren't that deep, so you can't go much longer. And that's all they had, or too short. So I'm gonna clean up the ones I got. I'll wire wheel and maybe throw them in a sandblaster and clean them up real good. Couldn't find any of these brushes. I'm gonna dig through a couple of things I got here at the shop. I know I didn't throw them away. They got they're almost worn out. But they're little wire brushes that are big enough to fit in a bolt hole. And then I can clean some of the rust out with that. And then I was gonna run a tap down, but I don't like running a tap down through things just to clean up some rusty threads because you end up sometimes making the threads too thin. So I wanted a thread chaser, couldn't find one. I'm gonna take this bolt, which is the size I needed, and I just got a short one because I'm cheap and it was the cheapest one they had. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a flute in the side so it'll clean out, and then cut another little flute in this side, and I'm just gonna run it in and out of those holes once I wire brush them, and then that should clean the threads up and we're good to go. And then I bought a couple of bolts just in case some of the crusty one, that one crusty one we took out and then one broke. So hopefully we're good to go. And I bought the size that's a little bit longer and the size that's a little bit shorter, and we'll see if one of those works where the broken one went. That's what we're doing. Oh, let me show you the paint dried on our swap meet manifold. That don't look too bad. It's a little too silver for my taste, but it is what it is. Ain't complaining. We're dealing with what we got. So, okay, let me do a couple of these things and bring you back. There you go. Little flute on both sides. It's enough to clean it out. That'll help knock any of the rust loose. So should be good. I gotta find that brush. I'd be a lot happier if I could find that brush. Brake clean in there. Bunch of rust comes out. Let it dry. A little penetrating oil in there. Send in my little chaser, thread chaser, and came out clean. 4 of the 6 all turned in by hand to a point, and then I had to put a wrench on it. And once it got by there, I could turn it by hand the rest of the way. 2 of them I could turn by hand all the way from beginning to end. So it was a good thing we did this. Get the crud out. I'm going to shoot some penetrating oil or brake clean in there again, any of the fine threads that are in there, get them out, and then we'll throw some penetrating oil in there and let it sit for a second. And while I take a little Scotch-Brite pad on the end of my die grinder, angle grinder, and we'll clean up that surface, clean up the surface on our manifold. Time to start putting it back together. Just get them started, and then we can just drop the gaskets in over the bolts. Listen for exhaust leaks. As far as I can tell, it sounds quiet. Does it look weird with the other manifold the wrong color? Don't care. I don't care. We get to drive today. Just glad those donuts sealed up. I didn't look before because I was upset about breaking studs. But when I went to put that donut in, where the donut matches the exhaust pipe itself, it was rotted away enough to hold the donut, but I would say half the lip that normally holds the donut was missing on the side that blew out. So it must have rusted there, because that donut that fell out was part metal and part composite, and all the metal was rusty. That must have taken part of the pipe out, and then that's what finally blew, is just the pipe went and then the donut fell out. So I was worried that it wasn't going to clamp up. I'm like, there's enough there, but it's got to line up just right. And I think we got it. Lord, let it last until winter's over and I'm ready for new exhaust. I am not ready right now. Well, we got her licked. One more thing down. We've actually got the driver a couple of times. Seems to be the donut seated in good, so we don't have that exhaust leak anymore. But God, what a debacle. How many times has that happened to any of you guys out there? Comment down below. I have never, I know bolts swell up and rust weld in. I've never seen that on an exhaust manifold before. We ended up getting really lucky finding one at the swap meet. Like I said, people just toss these things. You know, if you bought headers, you toss these. A lot of people just upgraded to the Corvette ones. If they wanted to put manifolds back on, you don't go find the most restrictive manifold. You get the ones that are available and work the best. So we got lucky. We got real lucky, which I'm, thankful for. Very thankful for. So it's one of the last long videos. Like I said before in the previous video, I'm going to try to make some 30-minute and less videos, so I can get more stuff out more often, or a video out more often, like weekly. I'm still fighting that. still fighting it. But I wanted to show, the problems that everybody has. You guys in your garage, you're not the only one. So you can come along and suffer through me and maybe sit on your couch, drink a beer, and laugh like, I'm not the only one. Look at this idiot. Look at, he's got the same problems. Look at, he's got problems too. It's not just me. So hopefully it'll make you feel better. Hopefully if you're going through it, you see a couple of things that might work for you. They didn't work for me, but they might work for you, like with the Porta Power. So yeah, that's what the channel's about, man. Just dragging you along for the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not any different than you guys. Well, I am different than all of you guys. You'll soon find out. I'm the guy that the weirdest crap happens to. I literally am. You can ask anybody who knows me. mechanics of 20, 30 years that I've worked with in the past. Stuff happens to me on my cars, and you go to them, and they're like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. Diagnose with you. None of what they say is the correct thing, you know, and when you finally figure it out, they're like, well, put that down in the book, because in 20 and 30 years, I've never even heard of that, let alone come across it myself. So I'm that guy. Weird shit. If it's something that you've only heard it happening one time, like I've heard of one guy, I'm usually that guy they're talking about. So, but I've learned to live with it. It is what it is. As you've seen in this video, I get flustered though, because it happens a lot to me with these little stupid things. A lot of the times, I think it's me. Like, man, maybe I'm just a crappy mechanic. Maybe I just don't know enough. Maybe I just don't do it right, you know? And then I bring in other mechanics. I finally give up and I bring in other mechanics that are good in their field, and they're qualified, and there's several of them. And they all look at me and like, nah, you did everything I'd have done, and I'm stumped now. So it makes me feel better but why me? So, but it is what it is. So I get flustered in the middle, but I always end up persevering, because you can't just give up. Don't ever give up and just shove it to the corner and walk away forever. You'll never get it licked. You'll never learn anything. That's my philosophy. So sometimes you just got to walk away, but get back to it the next day or a couple days later. Figure it out. Get it licked. Well, thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll leave it at that. And if you made it this far in the video, if you could do me a favor, you know, that like and share and subscribe thing over here, the subscribe button helps. Liking, commenting helps. Trying to grow this. If you kind of like this kind of content where you see a guy suffering through the stuff that you've suffered through yourself, or maybe you haven't, but realize that, you know, it's not real hard what we do, but sometimes it's wears on you mentally. So subscribing's free, helps me out, tells YouTube that you're interested in this kind of stuff. Commenting shows that you're willing to take the time. That means you're even more into the content. You know, liking, all of this stuff tells YouTube, and then they'll share it with more people like you. Because right now it's sharing it with a bunch of people that aren't like you. Well, they did, because you found it. I appreciate you. I thank you for watching. And don't forget, don't wait for your hot rod to be perfect to enjoy it. All right. Get in the garage, do something. Keep wrenching.